We live in an age where games need to be sold as the biggest leap in gaming, or that they have something that makes them stand out from all the other games on the market. You can even see this in the hack and slash genre nowadays. Ever since the release of Devil May Cry 5, one of, if not the best hack and slash on the market in 2019, hack and slashes have been more mainstream than ever with the likes of Bayonetta 3, Astral Chain, Final Fantasy 16, the Final Fantasy 7 Remake project, Scarlet Nexus, and so many more. There can be so many nowadays that it all becomes a bit overwhelming. They get announced during a game presentation, which builds up hype for them, and then they come out. Now, all of these games I mentioned, with the exception of maybe Final Fantasy 16, are all games that have a mixed reception. So what if we get a hack and slash with a gimmick attached to it that gets shadow dropped at the beginning of the year? Well... Hi-Fi Rush was the surprise release of 2023, created by Tango Gameworks. I am still shocked to this day that this game got so much attention, considering what was coming out at this year alone. Back in early 2023, I didn't really know this game came out, and was focusing all my gaming time into Fire Emblem Engage. But it wasn't until one of my best friends, Protector of Memes, status on Discord said he was playing a game called Hi-Fi Rush. He told me about it, and I bought it on Steam and never looked back. Hi-Fi Rush has quickly become one of my favorite games ever made. When I originally beat the game back in 2023, I thought it was a fun game with a few things holding it back, but now I love it, and I don't think we are ever gonna get another game like it ever again. But we could get to that at the end of the video. For now, let me take you on a journey through this rhythmic hack and slash, starting with the production history. In 2018, game director John Johannes pitched the game to Shinji Mikami, the founder of Tango Gameworks, after completing work on The Evil Within 2 in 2017. Later, a small team created an internal demo to help pitch the game to higher-ups at Bethesda. Since the game is out, I bet we could believe that the pitch went well. The game was also inspired by Shaun of the Dead and movies by film director Edgar Wright, known for movies such as Hot Fuzz and Spot Pilgrim vs. the World. Hi-Fi Rush entered production in 2018 in parallel with Ghostwire Tokyo. As part of the strategy by Bethesda, development was kept quiet before the public announcement of the game's release. This was in part to avoid skepticism and unsure expectations, as the title was a big departure for both the developer and the publisher. I personally think that this was a great idea, since if people knew what this game was and saw what the company had made previously, it would definitely lead to skepticism. So bravo Tango. After showcasing the trailer and some gameplay footage on the Bethesda Developer Direct, Tango Gameworks announced that the game will be releasing on the same day, January 25th, 2023. The setup for the story is that you are Chai, who arrives at the Vandelay Technologies campus to volunteer for Project Armstrong, a test program for cybernetic limb replacement. As Chai's limb replacement is about to begin, the CEO of Vandelay Technologies, Kale Vandelay, throws away Chai's MP3 player, which lands on his chest as the process begins. When Chai wakes up, he is labeled as a defect by the company, which means that he is going to be killed. Chai's arm starts to kick in, which allows his electromagnetic grabber stick to grab all the metal around him to form a guitar. As he searches for a way to escape, he encounters a robotic cat named 808. He is aided by an unseen ally, Peppermint, who you see at the end of the first track. After the second track, Chai helps Peppermint gain access to a Vandelay executive computer and learn about Spectra, an AI program that uses the cybernetic implants of Project Armstrong as a backdoor for mind control. After Chai fucks up Peppermint's plan to be stealthy about this, he is asked to help her with destroying Spectra.
Chai? But I have no idea how to get off this island and feel a little responsible for messing things up.
Great! You're hereby a member of my organization.
Which is when the game kicks into high gear. The presentation of Hi-Fi Rush is one of the best things about it. Just looking at this game, you could tell that's a visual treat for the eyes. The visual style makes the game look like it's a living comic book or a living manga. In a world where games try to look as hyper-realistic as possible, games like Hi-Fi Rush just makes me happy that we are trying to expand the possibilities in terms of art styles and in-game graphics. I also love that the transition between animated cutscene and in-engine cutscene is almost seamless.
Tuck and roll, Chai.
What?
And since this is a rhythm action game, we need to talk about the soundtrack to this game. Now, what is interesting about this game is that there are technically two soundtracks. There's the regular soundtrack and the streamer mode soundtrack. The reason that there is a streamer mode soundtrack is because the regular soundtrack to the game contains licensed music, which I learned of this. I was amazed that they made an entire soundtrack, but also made a version to have licensed music in it here and there. They got songs from artists like The Black Keys, 9 Inch Nails, The Prodigy, The Flaming Lips, and others. The licensed songs in the original soundtrack are mostly composed of rock songs, and as someone who loves Green Day, Zebrahead, and Good Kid, I vibed with this soundtrack almost immediately as the game started. There are some banging tracks in this game.
Just shut it out, won't listen. If this is about a reason.
Let's move along to the gameplay of Hi-Fi Rush. So people who I think will look at this on the surface level will probably think that this is a typical hack and slash game, but the game throws that idea away with what Chai says here.
First, music player in my chest. Pretty sure that's not supposed to be there. Second, it's powering up my new robot arm. Third, it's making everything sync up with the beat. And this sounds ridiculous, but when the music kicks in, it feels like I'm on a stage.
This is a rhythm hack and slash. Now, others, myself included, thought that this idea wouldn't work, since they are both so different from each other. But as I was playing the game and thinking about other hack and slashes that I played, namely the Devil May Cry games, I realized something. In almost every hack and slash I played, there is a timing to the attacks you use. Like in say Devil May Cry. To use different combos of Devil May Cry, you will need to do things like pause for a second before hitting the melee button again, so that you could do a different combo, showing that there is a sense of rhythm there that I never noticed before. So now I think the idea of rhythm hack and slash games can work well. So you have two attack buttons in this game, a light attack button on the X button and a heavy attack button on the Y button. Light attacks take up 1 beat, while heavy attacks take up 2 beats. This is important since you want to land your attacks on the beat of the music. If you land your attack to the beat of the music, then you will do more damage, especially after the final button press when a sound wave can attack the enemy in certain ways depending on the combo you did. Speaking of which, there are a lot of combos in this game. There are combos that are great for doing a lot of damage, there are combos that are good for moving you while doing damage, and there are combos that can allow you to send your enemies airborne, which can combo itself into air combos. There's a lot going on for this game in the gameplay department alone. One of the first things you learn as well is that there is a dodge function tied to the right bumper. You go a farther distance if you dodge to the beat. You may think that it would be bad, but you can dodge up to 3 times in a row. You can also dodge in the air, but you can only do it once, which makes it work well in the type of game that you are in. There is also the ability to block, which is tied to the B button. Blocking only works when you press it on the B, but the pro is that you can block almost everything in this game, and there will be indicators on the enemy on when you need to block, which is much appreciated if you ask me. You will also need to use both skills from when a giant enemy wants to use a super move on you. They will show you what you need to do in a rhythm, but you will need to play back that rhythm the exact same as it appeared. It's a risk reward system where if you succeed, you defeat the enemy early, but if you fail, you take a lot of damage. Chai also has the ability to do special attacks. There are many moves that you can unlock in this game. There are moves that will heal you, moves that will distract the enemies, moves that will stun you, and moves that will make you look stunning. There is a gauge at the top of your health bar, and you will need a certain amount to use the special move. The game will also tell you if you don't have enough gauge to use the special move, which is also a much appreciated thing. The final mechanic related to combat is that you could call your friends into battle. Throughout the game, there will be enemies that either have a shield, heavy armor, or fire, so you will need to call your friends to deal with them. Now in paper, I should hate this mechanic. Color-coded enemies with certain ways of dealing with them is my least favorite gimmick in any hack and slash, closely followed by Umbran Climax and Bayonetta 2. But in this game, I don't mind it that much because once the obstacle is dealt with, it never comes back. Just use Corsica once on the fire enemies and you can wail on them until they die. If other hack and slashes did what Hi-Fi Rush did with the color-coded enemies, I would look on them more fondly, except for DMC Devil May Cry. That game kinda sucks. The core loop of the combat is something I can't get enough of in this game. I'm always tapping my foot to the beat since the music is amazing and it helps me get the timing right when I attack or parry. The feeling of nailing a Q2E when I do overdrive slap is so much I can't explain it. It's a game that you definitely need to feel. One thing I forgot to mention is that the environment itself is tied to the beat of the music. It goes to show that they thought of everything for the world and the mechanic and how it can help you in more ways than one. The level design of Hi-Fi Rush is something that is gonna be pretty hard to talk about. Now, what do I mean by this? The game does what all the best hack and slashes do and separates the levels between combat and platforming instead of focusing on one thing over the other. I will say that the platforming in this game is also tied to the beat of the music, so you will need to pay attention to how you're going through these segments. There are also moments where you will need to call upon your friends to deal with an obstacle, Pyramid to shoot a button or a shield, Macaroon to destroy something that's tough, and Corsica to do a fire or overheat a generator. There are also secrets in this game that leads to upgrades. Now, the best hack and slashes allow you to pick up upgrades in the stages, while also having them in the shop, namely Bayonetta that comes to mind. In Hi-Fi Rush, you can get broken pieces of the upgrades, health upgrades, special attack gauge upgrades, and a sub-tank from Mega Man, and extra ship shots. But you can also buy them, and I made sure I could so that I can get better at the game. Because of the ranking system. The ranking system is a lot like Bayonetta in this game. God, that was like 2 Bayonetta comparisons. You get ranks after every battle, and they all tally up at the end of the level to show you the rank you got for the level. The game tests you on 3 things: your score, how fast you can beat the battle, and how well you timed all your actions to the beat of the music. I would say it's not a very tough balancing act, but can be difficult to get a hold of in the beginning. But don't be sad if you get a less than stellar grade at the end of each level, because the ranking system is a way to get players to replay the game, to learn the game and get better at it. Bad ranking system can make players believe they are good when they clearly aren't, which is why I think the timing rank is the best of the 3 ranks, so that it could tell you that you could do better. And finally, for the last thing gameplay wise, is the bosses. Hi-Fi Rush has some stellar bosses. The first boss is nothing all that special, just a way to show you how the game works in a boss format, though I do find it funny that his weakness is just there and plain shite and that they make fun of it. We can get to the comedy later. But the first real boss is Rekka. She was a pretty simple boss to get a hold of personally, and never had a problem with her on my first playthrough. The next boss is Corsica, and she is my personal favorite boss in the game. You don't battle Corsica, you are defending yourself from Corsica. It's basically a rhythm game where you have to sync to the beat and you are given, and it's so fun to do. The next boss is Mimosa, and she is probably my least favorite boss in the game. She's probably the most annoying to deal with in terms of staggering her, but I do like that before the final phase it turns into a rhythm game for a minute there, so there's that. The next boss is probably the fan favorite, as it is Roquefort, and he may be this, but
Hey guys!
With confidence now, kid.
Corsica? That wolf thing? Was not an expression!
You wanna get that tail? You gotta get through me.
he is fast on his feet, so whenever he stops attacking is when you almost immediately want to attack him, and with each phase he does more attacks, like the laser graded phase 2, and what I call the Scrooge McDuck attack in phase 3, a fantastic boss, and I'll save the final boss for the endgame, so let's move on to something else. I want to talk about the characters in this game for a bit. The characters I don't have much to say about are Corsica and Macaroon. Don't get me wrong, I really like them, but I would say they don't have much going on compared to the other 3 characters I want to talk about. The first character I want to talk about is Peppermint. Peppermint is someone we don't know a whole lot about for a good chunk of the game. We know that she and Kale have a history at the end of level 4, but that's really about it. It is never brought up until the end of level 8. We see her get more angry at the history of the museum, and it all comes at the end, where she is asked what's wrong. But we learn that she is related to Kale and the founder of the company, Roxanne Vandelay. She starts to break down, thinking that because of this fact, others might see her less than before, but Chai tells her that they wouldn't have made it this far in mission if it wasn't for her.
We got this far because of you. We're all here because of you.
Yeah, but...
And I'm here fighting because of what you found, and what you're trying to stop.
Not to mention, Mr. Chai is the one in the most danger.
Well, yeah, there's that, but that's like secondary or something.
Your brother doesn't define who you are.
And this doesn't change anything.
Really?
It only gives us a stronger reason to fight. As friends.
I love that the scene ends with Peppermint feeling happy that she doesn't need to worry about what the others think of her. It shows that she is still the headstrong smart girl we knew at the beginning of the game. I also want to mention that the voice actor of Peppermint, Erica Lindbeck, does a great job with the character.
Only you wouldn't find this suspicious. The point is, they can, and I need to stop that.
Kale is a character who is interesting to look at for what he is supposed to portray. Kale is a representation of companies out there who don't care about the employees and only care about the money without trying. Throughout the game, we hear announcements that are just straight psychotic.
Reminder, to compensate for added Project Armstrong flow, a new day of the week was added. Please note on this additional day of the week, working is mandatory.
It may be played for laughs, but when put into the context of the fact that Kale is probably the one who made these announcements, it shows that he is the shining image of what the bad side of a company is. Hopes that Roger Crick-Smith does a great job nailing down the voice of Kale.
Turn on the lights. Find them. Shut the campus down.
Which section, sir?
All of them!
The last character I want to talk about is Chai. Chai is the main character in the game, so he goes through the most growth. He starts the game as someone who is only trying to think for himself, not at all interested in what's really going on, since he has what he wanted, a new arm to replace the broken one he had. It's only when he fucks up and Peppermint basically forces him to help her, it's when he really starts to change. When planning how to escape the R&D building, he asks his teammates, do they trust him? He tries to reason with Corsica by giving them her password to stop Spectra. The change starts to show his true colors when he comforts Peppermint after learning about who she is, and even lets her have a pun.
So, you wanna go crash a party?
I'd like that. You know, I really wanted to say that crash in the party line since we got here. But it's okay. You can have it.
Alright.
I also love the fact that Chai is still the funny, somewhat not smart person even after that scene with his idea for using a cannon to get into Vandelay Tower. And a great voice by Robbie Damon.
Woo! What a wild battle! I wish you could have seen it.
I can't believe you survived that!
That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Ah, let's never mention this again. But hey, I'm here now!
Also, one thing I should mention while talking about this is that this game is one of the funniest games I've ever played. There are so many moments that just had me laughing so hard, and many references that I nearly forgot about. And I think the best jokes come from Chai since he is the funniest character and most relatable one in the game.
You're only making me angry.
Is that even possible? Whoa, this is crazy. Looks like we found our AI.
This is a screensaver, Jai.
Chai! 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 Chai!
Is this the guy?
You want an autograph?
No.
I'll get you an autograph. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, anyone see the guy that did this?
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about some of the extra stuff that is in Hi-Fi Rush. This game from the beginning had post-game content and some nice cosmetics. Later in the year, we got an update that included 2 new modes that gave the game extra replayability. The first mode that I think was in here from the beginning was called Rhythm Tower. It's basically the Bloody Palace or Cyber Grind of Hi-Fi Rush. I love modes like this, since it's a simple and quick way to have fun with the game aside from replaying the levels. I really love this mode. There are also 2 new modes that were introduced in July of 2023 in the Arcade Challenge update. The first mode is BPM Rush, where every time you defeat a wave of enemies, the BPM goes up and you have to time your attacks, blocks, and dodges faster and faster. This mode could seem really stressful, and if you have a hard time battling to beat, click the select button and it will visualize when you want to attack or block to the beat. It is a very useful feature. The BPM goes up to 200 BPM and then you are done once you beat it. So it's not a log mode whatsoever. The final mode is Power Up Tower Up. It's the Rhythm Tower but with a twist. How this works is that you lose almost everything when you start. When you start a new floor, you are given the option to upgrade a certain stat, with it either having a benefit or a benefit for the enemy. I don't expect to have so much fun with this mode at all. After I failed miserably for this video, I went back and played more of it. I was shocked by how much I really like BPM Rush and Power Up Tower Up, and they are definitely the way I'm going to replay this game in the future. Even though I want to continue with how this game is amazing, I think it's time that we talk about the endgame. After defeating the 5 bosses, we head up to Kale's office, where we are shown a certain someone.
Mom?
Peppermint?
You're here?
I never left.
But this was a trap by Kale, who reveals that he put his mother under the control of Spectra.
You son of a bitch! You son of a bitch!
He explains that Spectra is part of an overly complicated plan to increase productivity so we won't have to deal with the stress of consumerism. He's basically saying I'm too lazy to make stuff for other people, so I'm just gonna mind control them to make sure they just get the stuff I make for them. He undermines Chai for his rockstar dream and his reliance on his robotic arm, and then leaves the building to activate Spectra. Chai tries to break the barrier, but his scrap-built guitar breaks on impact, and once he calms down, he begins to feel the sting of Kale's words and starts losing hope. When Cinnamon reveals that the force field is powered by sound— oh yeah, Cinnamon's in this game— Chai decides to deal with it. While he is sticking to the beat of the field, he remembers the updated alerts from his friends.
You may not be slick, but you get it done.
I like this new Chai. He's quite come around, hasn't he?
I, for one, Mr. Chai, like your pants.
Right. I do trust you. You know that, right?
And
All backed by one of my favorite tracks in the game.
I don't need a guitar. I am a rock star.
I thought you said you didn't need a guitar.
Yeah, but this is much cooler. We can do this.
With them free, they chase after Kale. This level shows that they are a found family at this point, helping each other out. Even Cinnamon gets his time in the spotlight when he wields an arm cannon and shoots the giant mech down.
Was I dope, Mr. Chai?
That was very dope, Cinnamon. Man, he is messed up.
We then reach the final boss of the game, Kale. Kale attempts to tempt Chai into joining him, but Chai refuses the offer. Kale reveals his cybernetic body and activates Spectra, using a smaller unit inside his hand to send a shockwave that shuts down the music player in Chai's chest, putting him under his control. So for the first phase of the boss, you have to play as 808 to free Chai. It's a pretty simple phase since all you do as 808 is jump over the fire Kale creates. Once that is done, you get control of Chai and then the true battle begins. I really like this boss. You have to like dodge or block at the perfect timing to get his stagger meter to go up, and it's really fun to do so. You also have to abuse your partners to make sure that you defeat the arms on him as well. It's really fun, and the music is really good. After the battle, Chai and his friends finish him off.
Macaron! You ruined this company enough.
Come on, Corsica!
Can't believe I look up to you!
Peppermint!
This isn't just about Vandalay.
And this is game over! Enough's enough. Give us the password.
Never. You're just a bunch of losers.
Maybe so, but together we're unstoppable.
Chai!
This is just too much work.
After putting in all the passkeys and Corsica's funny password, Spectra is done. We are then inside Kale's office. Roxanne apologizes for the actions of her son. She gives Corsica the position of head of security. She gives Macaron his old job back. She talks to Peppermint, telling her not to change who she is, and she offers Chai the position as Project Armstrong's ambassador. The post-credit scene shows the current state of the team. Roxanne is back at the helm of Vandalay as she promoted Vandalay's charitable endeavors through Project Armstrong. Peppermint fixes her mother's old truck. Corsica settles back into her job as head of security. Macaron is trying to fix Cinnamon. His Chai is on a building learning to play guitar, all being played with synesthesia on streamer mode.
Every color when I'm with you. Synesthesia. I'm all the color. We're together.
So, you're actually gonna learn how to play guitar.
Yeah, gotta practice. Need a backup job, just in case this doesn't work out.
That was the end of Hi-Fi Rush. I hope today I was able to explain why I love this game. It's a fun hack and slash game and a fun rhythm game with a lovable group of characters who bounce off each other perfectly with some of the best music I've ever heard in a game. What more do I need to say than the fact that it's one of my favorite games ever made? Going through it again for this video, I laughed so much and learned new things about it that I didn't know the first time. When I finished the game for the first time, I was happy in a time in my life where I wasn't really all that and wondered what Tango would work on next. But the aftermath of this game is quite sad. So earlier this year, Tango was shut down by Microsoft in May. I still don't really know why Microsoft decided to shut them down, even though by all accounts, and even by Microsoft, the game was a success. The weirdest part about all of this is that Microsoft has said that they want more games like Hi-Fi Rush in the future. What makes it weird is that they said this the day after they shut down Tango. I really want to know the thought process behind why it closed. Though since the 2020s so far have been great for video games, but not for the developers of these games, with the best example being Tango and Insomniac showing both sides of the problem we are facing. These companies make critically praised games and they sell well, but will either face layoffs like Insomniac or get shut down like Tango. This is the reason why I think we aren't going to get another game like this ever again. A game that sprung up with a passion to branch off from what you're used to. I highly recommend giving Hi-Fi Rush a shot if you haven't already. It is available on Steam, Xbox Series X, and PlayStation 5. Later this year, we are getting a physical version of the game via Limited Run Games, and I for one am pretty excited for that. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and as always, have a nice day.